Prince Harry and Meghan Markle have been roasted yet again. And this time it's not on South Park, it's not on Family Guy. It's at an event where all of the Hollywood elite are in attendance. Everybody who is a major player in Hollywood was in the room when the host said this.
Turns out Prince Harry and Meghan Markle will still get paid millions of dollars for doing absolutely nothing. And that's just by Netflix.
Yes, Harry and Meghan, why are you getting millions and millions of dollars for doing nothing? This is a growing question within the industry, I'm sure, because everybody is wondering, okay, so they had one hit, which was their Harry and Meghan documentary, which was rather lame, it was boring, it was dull in a lot of ways, and yet somehow they're still getting millions and millions of dollars and we can't get our projects out the ground? What is going on? And this is a question that will not go away for Harry and Meghan. And I think, one, if they're not panicking right now, they should be, because this is the second time that same thing has come up within the industry. And yes, maybe it didn't get as great a laughs as the initial joke, but still saying it, and still the look on the Netflix CEO's face where you could tell he's just sitting there going, yeah, we know. You just gotta feel it, that Hollywood is no longer gonna give Harry and Meghan the time of day. They are done unless the two of them prove themselves. But I'm still not convinced that will happen. So we are gonna explore Hollywood's apathy and growing irritation with Harry and Meghan and the disastrous brand that is Sussex. But if you guys haven't been to Royal News Network, my name is Brittany. I provide compelling royal commentary. So if you guys want to smash that subscribe button, that would be absolutely fabulous. Hopefully this year we will see a lot of amazing growth. I have some trips already in the works here. I'm super excited to hopefully cover some major royal events. And of course, we do have the abdication of Queen Margrethe coming up on Sunday and the transition of power to Crown Prince Frederick and Crown Princess Mary. I'm thinking of doing a live stream about that Sunday. So if you guys are all interested, feel free to let me know. In addition, I also have an upcoming trip to Scotland. So if you are interested in checking out the Scottish Highlands and chatting about all this Harry and Meghan stuff and discussing other royals and seeing castles and palaces and everything, feel free to check out the link down below. I'd love to have you join us. We still have a couple of spots available for the early bird pricing. And I am so excited about this trip. So many of you want to go to Scotland. I spent 3 months there a couple of years ago. It was fabulous. I love Edinburgh. And so I can't wait to have you guys join me. So go ahead and check out that link. And I also have a fashion channel if you're interested in royal fashion. And if you love my jewelry, it is Ana Lucia Diamonds. And I do have these gorgeous hoop earrings as well and my rings. So if you guys are interested in checking any of that out, feel free to check out the link down below. If you use code ROYAL20, you will save 20%. And these are very classic, gorgeous pieces for sure. And I kind of love these too because they look like lace, and I'm wearing lace, so it all seems to go together. But back to Hollywood once again roasting Harry and Meghan. It's somewhat nice to see the industry recognize the fact that Harry and Meghan investing in them is a waste of money. I thought that the first time I heard some of their deal numbers, Netflix, $100 million potentially, Spotify, $20 million, and I'm like, but they've never done anything, the two of them. Why would you just throw money at two people who really just don't even have the reputation of doing all that much? And of course, obviously, Hollywood's not immune to that at all. They're more than willing to throw endless buckets of money at things and platforms that have already been deemed failures, but just this seemed like a huge risk. When Harry and Meghan moved to California, yes, she had spent some time in Hollywood, but any discerning eye could see that her role in Hollywood was pretty minimal. I mean, Suits has had a bit of this resurgence on Netflix, but it was mostly a forgettable show on the USA network, which is not one of the big players. It wasn't a huge series. It had its time, but it wasn't like bombastic, the best thing ever. And that was essentially her one major role. Her other things had been flops or disasters. I mean, her acting is bad. I mean, it genuinely is bad. And we also have no indication that she's doing things behind the scenes, because what I found is that people who get really comfortable on a certain series decide they want to go behind the camera and do different things and try to learn different aspects of their profession. I just recently found out, which I did not know, is that Bryce Dallas Howard, so she's the daughter of Ron Howard. She's been an actress, obviously, in the newer Jurassic Park movies. But she had directed a couple episodes of The Mandalorian for Disney. And I was like, oh, wow, I didn't know that. And apparently some people had said they were sort of good. I haven't actually watched it, so I can't tell you. But that's what I'm thinking is like somebody like that who's like, okay, I've done this in this area, but I want to try this too. I want to get my feels. And you see this with actors. They try producing, script writing, directing, just all sorts of different things. The one or two major contributions that we know of from Meghan Markle on Suits is number one, is that she asked to be in less sexy scenes at some point. Okay, that is her right, and the producers and creators obviously honored that request, and maybe some fashion things. But honestly, her fashion since Suits has been a disaster, so I doubt she had that much influence on the fashion. I'm sure the costume director, Meghan Markle, would come in with an idea, and she's like, that's great. Well, let me make sure it actually fits you. Because Meghan Markle, if you've watched her fashion for a while, you'll notice is that she dresses as if she's 5'11". So she's picking outfits that really just suit a woman better who has a taller stature. There's some outfits that work well if you're tall, some outfits that work well if you're short, some outfits that work well with different body types. And I always feel like Meghan's dressing like she's 5'11" when she's 5'5", 5'6", and that just don't work. It just doesn't work. And so I'm sure maybe she had a voice there from time to time, but mostly it was a costume designer. We just have no indication that at any point in her Hollywood career was Meghan ever interested in the behind the scenes things. So for her to get a $100 million deal from Netflix with no record of any sort of producing, directing, script writing, anything, I'm like, that's a waste of money. And then when it came to the Spotify deal, I thought more of the same, but Spotify, you know, a lot of people are doing podcasts. It's something that's very popular. So that's something doable. And they even built her, apparently, a podcast studio in her home. And after a year and a half, 2 years, she could only create 12 measly episodes that were lousy, by the way. They weren't great. And it was just sort of an epic train wreck there. And I'm like, so why in the world are you giving Harry and Meghan money when they haven't proven their worth yet? They haven't proven their work ethic. That just seems like a huge, massive risk. And Spotify found that out pretty quickly. It's like, it's not worth working with Harry and Meghan. To lose the Spotify deal after 12 episodes, given the platform that they have, given the notoriety that they had, was shocking. I can't even begin to tell you how bad that is because of the name recognition. Now, if I got a 12 episode deal with Spotify, I just wouldn't be paid that much, to be honest. But if I got the 12 episode deal and let's say I lost it, well, Spotify would be like, well, she has a minimal voice here in this realm, but it didn't grow much beyond that. So that it was lost, I mean, it's no skin off our backs, it's fine. But for Harry and Meghan to have all the resources they did, all the notoriety they do, all the PR they do, just the constant media presence, being related to the King of England, that they weren't able to keep a simple podcast deal? And maybe were paid as little as $5 million overall for it? That's pretty pathetic. And for the 12 episodes that they produced to be pretty minimal and pretty bad, I mean, that's just very, very shocking. But I think it was an indicator to Hollywood, another public reflection of the fact that they're really not worth the investment. And I was shocked later in the year where People magazine came out in an article talking about the couple, like there were a series of exclusive articles online, and one piece said, well, most of Hollywood sort of recognizes now that they overinvested in the brand of Harry and Meghan. So go ahead again and take a listen to the beginning of the joke, and you'll hear one first about the royals and then one about Harry and Meghan. So go ahead and take a listen to this one here.
Just a great series about a rich, white, dysfunctional family, all scheming. Oh no, that's the Crown. That's the Crown. I'm sorry.
Okay, so it's very simple. The royal family is white and dysfunctional and rich. I mean, they sort of are, but who is not a dysfunctional family? Now, do we need to go down the white path? I don't think so. But are they a dysfunctional family? Yes. But, I mean, whose family is not? And then do they have a lot of money? Of course they do. They're royalty. Now, not all royals all have all that much money, but the Brits have a fair amount. So the joke stands and people laugh. And it was a good segue. It was a good comparison, obviously. So that makes sense. And it's no skin off the teeth of the royals if Hollywood makes fun of them, because Hollywood still wants Catherine and William to show up at the premieres. They still want Charles and Camilla to show up at their premieres. They're still very invested in royals overall. Yes, they'll laugh at this little tidbit joke, but they know the royals are all above this. They don't care. They don't have any investment in Hollywood, really. And so the Hollywood, though, is very invested in the royals. When Catherine and William came to Los Angeles for a BAFTA event, every A-lister that could showed up. They swarmed this place where Catherine and William were. Reese Witherspoon, if the story is believed, is that she was invited to Harry and Meghan's wedding, declined the invitation because she didn't know who the two of them were. She has never met them, and so she's like, why would I go to their wedding? But she seemed very, very happy to meet Catherine, the Princess of Wales, then the Duchess of Cambridge, when she came to Los Angeles a couple of years before. So the Hollywood has a vested interest in the monarchy. But Harry and Meghan, this is a different take. Take a listen to this other little bit of the joke.
How great was Imelda Staunton in The Crown? Wasn't she amazing? Her portrayal of the Queen was so good, Prince Harry called her for it and asked her for money.
Okay, so, and the joke was in 3 parts. I missed it. But, so, the actress who played the Queen, she was so good, while Harry is hitting her up for money. Now, what's interesting about this joke is that it's playing off the fact that we know Harry and Meghan have money problems. And we know they're not two people who can actually generate their own money. They need somebody else to give them money. That's what that joke signifies. And they all laughed. They all laughed at it because they knew it was true. What makes jokes good are that they're true. And I'll give you a couple examples because I know some people on Twitter were like, well, you know, it's a roast. This is what Hollywood does, don't you know? I was like, yeah, but usually they roast of somewhat true things. Most of the time, if you come up with a joke that makes no sense or that's not real, people just generally don't laugh. Like, they can disagree with the joke and the punchline, but something totally different to like make up a joke completely. So for example, great stand-up comedians like Jerry Seinfeld, what does he do? He makes observations about life and twists them into a funny way. What does Tim Allen do? Similar things, mostly with relationships between men and women. That is sort of what his comedic style is like. So that's what he sort of pokes fun at and identifies. John Crist, if you don't know, he's a Christian comedian. He did this great bit about Chick-fil-A and going to church. And those I find funny because there's a lot of truth in them. And I'll give you a couple examples of how this is true later. But I just want to highlight that. Good jokes are based in truth. You laugh because you understand the truth of the situation. Now, could Hollywood make Christian jokes work? Probably not. But something like John Crist, and there was a controversy with John Crist, but we won't go into that. But understanding his jokes, understanding his humor comes from being a person of faith and understanding what he's poking fun at. And being in on the joke. That's what makes jokes good. And Hollywood all laugh because they know Harry and Meghan are desperate for money. And the only thing they can do is ask other people to give them money because they can't make it on their own. They can't make it on their own. That's what makes the joke funny. That's what makes it funny, that Harry needs to beg his family, his grandmother, whoever, for money. Even the actress playing his grandmother, for money. So now take a listen to the last part of this joke.
Prince Harry and Meghan Markle will still get paid millions of dollars for doing absolutely nothing. And that's just by Netflix.
So yes, this one didn't initially get as much of a joke as the other ones, but people definitely still laughed. But it was almost more of an uncomfortable laugh because the Netflix CEO, and all of them want to work with Netflix if they can, is looking a bit uncomfortable because he's sitting there going, yeah, we know. We all know. We're all aware. We've worked with them for the last 3 years. It's kind of sort of sucked. We got a couple of good things, but most of it's sort of been an epic train wreck. And that's true. And somebody said, and this is true, that projects take a while to get off the ground. But I feel like we hear about so many and none of them come to fruition when it comes to Harry and Meghan. Somebody even brought up on Twitter the Great Expectations series they were gonna do, focusing on one of the main female characters and making her young or something. And I'm like, oh, I totally forgot about that. Have we heard hide nor hair of that? No. And I think there's a pretty good reason why we haven't heard a ton about Harry and Meghan's future projects with Netflix. Either they're waiting and they sort of drop it at the last minute, which we know, or they're all in development hell and Netflix is really putting on the brakes for any of their projects unless they're really, really confident that not only can this project get up off the ground, but that Harry and Meghan have a good team around them, that they're responsive to requests from Netflix, and that they're working. Because one of the things I've noticed about Harry and Meghan throughout the years is that they don't really work all that hard. And not only that, is that they put 12 people between two streams of communication. So you can't just directly contact Harry and Meghan, which the cast of Suits also said. But you have to contact 12 people. So it has to go through a long telephone chain to get from one end to another. This was in the Wall Street Journal article last year. And so in those situations, if it takes so long to get what happens is A, it's lag time, B, you don't get things done as quickly, B, you're not as responsive, and C, maybe you misunderstand what the initial message was. And I think that's a huge problem for Harry and Meghan. They are so consumed with their own narcissism that I think Meghan in particular thinks that certain people who she deems very much below her, she should not be in contact with anybody she sees as beneath her. We even saw this in Spotify, because I believe it was the Wall Street Journal article as well, mentioned that Meghan, when she had issues with the podcast, she wouldn't call the producers at Spotify. No. She would call the head of content creation at Spotify over issues. That person has much bigger fish to fry than Meghan Markle going, well, I don't like this pause there. I don't like this statement there. Can we remove it? I want to remove it. No, that's not that person's job. And to be that person who's going to the head constantly with complaints and things you want done, well, that's not that person's job. That person's job is to oversee a vast majority of things. Now, if you're having a serious issue, yes. But I got the impression Meghan Markle was going up there with pretty minor things that she should have brought up to somebody else before going all the way up to the top. And Spotify, not only did they let, I believe, that person go who hired Harry and Meghan, they let Harry and Meghan go too, because they're like, they aren't worth it. If Harry and Meghan were making money, Spotify would have kept them. They would have kept them. And again, that little subtle shake of the Netflix CEO, I think Harry and Meghan, they're about to lose that deal. I would bet bottom to dollar they're about to lose that deal because they don't have that much to show for it. And they should have more that they've said that they're working on rather than Meghan's at the Variety Women of Power event going, well, we're working on things. We have so many projects we can't wait to announce. I'm sure because Netflix hasn't given their green light yet. Netflix really wants them to go above and beyond at this point. They can't get by now with just the general lackluster things they were before. Netflix wants results. Netflix is like, we've had 3 projects completed from you. Only 1 has hit the top 10. We're not paying you 10, 20, 30 million dollars for another flop. So what have you got for us? What have you got for us? Because this needs to work. And if it's not going to work, well, we laughed like the rest of the entertainment industry and we're looking for the next thing. And like I said, just to prove my point that truth and jokes is related to facts, let's hear this one about Oppenheimer.
I loved Oppenheimer. I just got one complaint. Needed another hour. My New Year's resolution for 2024 is to finish Oppenheimer in 2025.
Okay, so yes, I know a lot of people didn't like the host. I thought a couple of the things he said were funny. I thought it was kind of funny that he laughed at himself. I sort of enjoyed that. But it's totally true what he said. Oppenheimer is long. It's 3 hours. I sat there and watched it. I really enjoyed it, but I love that time period in history. So, and I know a lot about the Manhattan Project. So I was very invested in that. So didn't bother me in the slightest. But I understood the joke was that it's so long that it needs an extra hour to tell you everything. In addition to that, I'm still trying to watch it. The joke is understandable because you get it because it's 3 hours long. That's the punchline. And then here's the next one.
Your last performance is got to be your greatest performance ever. How'd you get her pregnant at 80?
Now, I will give Al Pacino mad props for laughing as hard as he did, but yeah, it's a joke. It's a good joke because it's true because he did just have a child with a 27-year-old or something. And so why does that joke work? Because it's based in fact. That's why it's funny. And that's where good humor is. Good humor is based in fact. That's why I think most of Hollywood can't really make fun of religion very well is because they don't understand it enough to really do it well. And that's why maybe a show like Veep worked because they understood enough of politics and the guy was British who created it. So he was outside enough of American politics to actually make fun of it. And that's what humor is. And Harry and Meghan, the whole industry knows at this point that they're failures. I even love it that he just called her Meghan Markle. No, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, which they demand everybody calls them. Like, no, they're just Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. And why is that such an insult? Because Meghan Markle wanted to be in the upper Hollywood echelon. And she went and married a prince in order to make that happen. And so she went and married a prince. She concocted this whole racist narrative. She fled to Canada and then to California, which was her true goal, and it ushered herself back into Hollywood, because I don't believe this whole nonsense that they just happened across these deals. No, they had been working on them for a time. And Meghan Markle came back there thinking, well, I'm the Duchess of Sussex now. Now, all these Hollywood elite people, everybody in this room, they're gonna take me seriously because I'm the Duchess of Sussex. But no, when all the Hollywood elite was gathered, what did they do? They still called her Meghan Markle, because that's who she is. She went to the pinnacle and then decided that wasn't good enough and had to descend down to the same level as everyone else. And they all know that. They all know being royal is much more impressive than simply being another struggling creative in Hollywood. And that's what Meghan Markle has turned herself into. Another failing creative in Hollywood. And she's pulled Prince Harry down with her. And all of Hollywood is essentially laughing, even if it's some nervous laughter, because again, Hollywood is all a place about too, making sure you keep those connections fresh just in case you need them. So they're not maybe going to out and out laugh, but they were all laughing a little bit on the inside going, yeah, we see it too. We see it too. And we obviously had as well just briefly mentioned some shade from the Suits cast, because I love this absolute moment. Gina Torres said, well, I can't tell Meghan about this great success because, A, I don't have her number. So go ahead and take a listen here.
Right now, so it's very exciting.
Who texted Meghan and said, you gotta come to the Golden Globes, Meghan Markle?
We don't have her number.
Yeah, that's a good one.
We just don't.
So again, guys, how funny is it is that Meghan Markle left Hollywood, became a royal, and came back only to still be much further down on the call sheet than the rest of her Suits cast. She went to the pinnacle, and yet she still not only is in the same spot, but you could say almost lower, because instead of being unknown, now she's too known, and she's become the butt of the joke. So guys, let me know what you think of this video. Thanks for watching. And I do have a video upcoming that I'll work on with about just the spare problem with Andrew and Harry. So if you guys are interested in that, feel free to tune in, and hopefully I'll get that up soon. So guys, thanks for watching. I look forward to seeing you again so soon. Bye.